Since 1969, the same city, Padre gang on mine, ain't a damn thing pretty. Unless you're talking about the bridge and seaport. Even from the seats in the upper decks, you can see the seashore. Tailgate function with the carne asada. Just walk from the tribal building for the Padres, I'm on it. Yeah, cause for the 619, we'll knock you down. Anything for the Brown, put it on the town. Started back rocking the Brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to episode 262 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. I'm your host, Ben Fadden. It is October 27th, 2022, day before Game 1 of the World Series. Unfortunately, the Padres are not in the World Series. It'll be the Phillies who beat the Padres, and then the Astros on the AL side who beat the Yankees in the ALCS in 4 games. That starts tomorrow, obviously. Today, I wanted to talk about Joe Musgrove and Blake Snell, continuing my season reviews of Padres players. Started yesterday with Yu Darvish, so if you missed that, that's episode 261, available here on YouTube and on podcast platforms. Today, I'm going to go with 2 players, Joe Musgrove and Blake Snell. Positives, a lot of positives, I think, from both of those guys, and not a whole lot of negatives. That's definitely something that you want to see if you're a Padres fan, or that's something that you wanted to see this year if you were a Padres fan from those guys. Joe Musgrove, we obviously know just looking at it right out of the gate, from a broad view, he had a tremendous year. All-star, obviously in the postseason when it mattered most. He pitched really, really well. Game 3 against the Mets, win or go home, and he goes 7 innings and gives up 1 hit. Pitches so well that the opposing manager, Buck Showalter, thinks that he's cheating. And the Mets GM, Billy Epler, thought he was cheating. And Brian Kenny, that clown, went on MLB Network the next day and tried to make this whole argument saying that he was cheating. That's how great he was in Game 3. And then against the Dodgers, Game 4, pitching at home with the chance to slay the Dragon and send the Padres to the NLCS. He pitches really good in that game, too, gives up 2 runs, goes 6 innings. Just spectacular. He signed that $100 million extension. And so now he's going to be here for the next 5 years. I mean, when we're talking about this offseason, Brandon Drury, Josh Bell, like there's decisions there. There's decisions about who's going to be the starting center fielder. Jurickson Profar as a player option. What if he opts out? Do you want to bring him back? Or are you going to bring in another outfielder to play left? Or do you want to go with Soto in left, Grisham in center, Tatis in right? Like, there's so many decisions. There's Suarez, Nick Martinez, back of the rotation. There's a lot of things that need to be decided and cleared up for the Padres. Adding on a Joe Musgrove contract with him being in free agency, that would have put a lot more stress on that Padres front office, stress that they didn't need. Uh, During the year, I thought they were always going to get that Joe Musgrove extension done. They ended up getting it done. And then after that, he kind of went through that rough patch. But then he went back at the end of the year to uh, pitching a little taller and, fixing those mechanics and being back to that Joe Musgrove that we saw the first 12 starts of the year, first half of the year, really. He started the year with 12 straight, I think, quality starts, and then obviously All-Star game, striking out Aaron Judge, getting, I think it was a 1-2-3 inning. So he was really, really solid all year long. And, being from San Diego, hometown kid and all that, and having the family be able to watch every start at Petco Park, it's just a great, great thing to see. I'm happy for Joe that he was able to get an extension done. I'm happy for just the organization. Obviously, as Padres fans, we're going to get to see Joe in a Padres uniform for the next 5 years. And I think he can really be a big asset to the Padres rotation. I know that's looking more into the future, but going back more on this season for Joe, he had a 3.5 Fangraphs WAR, 30 starts. This was the regular season. Over 180 innings, 2.93 ERA. His WHIP was just above 1. That's where you want it. You want it around 1 or under 1 if you can. And it would have been under 1 probably if he didn't have those, rocky starts. One of them was against the Phillies. I I think it was that Jake Cronenworth bobblehead day where Croney wasn't even playing, and he just gave up some home runs there. Struck out over 180 batters, didn't give up too many home runs. I mean, he was as solid as can be. Darvish was probably a little more consistent, just a little bit more consistent than Musgrove was, but those two guys were definitely the aces of the Padres rotation. Um, Darvish, obviously a free agent after, I believe, this coming season. Same with Snell. We'll get to him in this episode here in a bit. So we don't know about them. This coming season could be, I'm sure I'll talk about this more this offseason. It could be the Padres' last run having that elite top of the rotation with Musgrove, Darvish, and Snell. They might not be on the team come 2024, right? So that I think that definitely, I know there's urgency, but that's just another aspect of why there's going to be a lot of urgency in 2023 to win, right? There was urgency this year, right? You go and get Josh Bell and Brandon Drury. You're going all in because they're free agents right now at the end of the season. So it was clear they were going all in for this year, but you were also going all in for this year too, or this coming year, 2023. Darvish and Snell are going to be free agents. Manny, I don't think he's going to opt out, or if he opts out, I think he's staying here, but he could opt out and go elsewhere at the end of the year. He does have that after 2023. He has that option. Josh Hader, he's a free agent, I believe, at the end of this year, at the end of 2023. I keep saying this year because I'm focused on 2023 now because 2022 season is unfortunately over while the Phillies are in the World Series now. So there's going to be a lot of urgency, I think, to win this year, 2023. And I think moving to Snell, I think he could be a big part of that, just like him and Musgrove were a big part of that in 2022 for the Padres. So couldn't say enough great things about Joe Musgrove this year, how he played. It was really cool having Jake Peavy back him, right? So really, really proud of the season that he had. And there's not a whole lot of negatives really at all for Joe Musgrove. The rough patch, but you could argue that rough patch was actually a positive. I mean, he talked about it. You could argue it was a positive because in the postseason, he knew, he was like, I've been through rough stuff this year. I'm going to be in some tough situations in this postseason. I worked through it in the regular season. So I know how to deal with that adversity right now in the postseason. So I thought that, the rough patch that he faced in the regular season after signing the extension, I thought that actually proved to be good for him when it mattered most. And he pitched really well in those games that mattered most. I know what he gave up, I think 4 runs, was it, in that last postseason start, but he kept the Padres in that game. So that's all you can ask for. And then moving to Blake Snell, I mean, another season, another guy where there's not a whole lot of negatives. I mean, I guess I'll start with the negatives. I think you could say, okay, maybe the negatives were, well, Ben, he didn't start the year healthy. He had that groin injury. And he even admitted in spring training to the media, hey, I'm not going to be fully built up like the rest of the starters are going to be. Um, with the lockout, maybe he didn't know, he was a little behind. But he did say that part of that was because he's trying to build up for the second half of the year for when it matters most. Like Blake, as we've seen with the Padres, he's not a guy that has an amazing first half. He's working through things. He's facing different lineups. Like this all goes into effect why he's not having that great first half. But in the second half of the season, he does have a really good second half of the season. And he ended up pitching pretty dang solid in the postseason as well. His ERA, I believe, was almost a full run better in 2022 compared to 2021. Struck out more guys this year. Final 25 innings, he allowed 2 runs, struck out 32 batters in the regular season. So again, he was building up for when it mattered most. Postseason time, pitched well in those 2 starts against the Dodgers and then against the Phillies. Kept them in those games. The Mets outing, I guess that's a negative you could say in the wild card series, but the game wasn't out of reach then. I think it was a 1-run game, I want to say, when Snell exited that Mets game. That was the game they lost. But then those last two starts, 5 1/3 against the Dodgers, October 14th, game 3 of the division series, allowing 1 run, pitching really well there. Obviously, that was a game the Padres won. You had Trent Grisham with the go-ahead game-winning home run there to right field at Petco. So, first postseason game at Petco um, this year. So that was great. And then in game 2 NLCS, October 19th, 5 innings. Yeah, gave up 4 runs, but did strike out 6, only walked 1 guy. And the Padres ended up winning that game. Like, the 4 runs there, it is a little misguiding. Like, it was the second inning, I believe, when he gave up those runs. There were some balls that were not hit very hard at all, like less than 90-mile-per-hour exit velocities, um, little just dinkers to right field. I forget, Harper, yeah, he did have a good hit off of him to start that second inning, but, you had the he got the fly out to Juan Soto, and Juan lost the ball in the sun. You had, what was it, the error by Brandon Drury at first base. He got a ground ball. It was a double play ball, makes an error. I believe that run ended up scoring. So it wasn't all on Blake Snell. I think that outing, the run stat there from that outing against the Phillies doesn't tell you the whole story. I thought he pitched well this postseason for the most part, especially the last 2 starts for the Padres. And then in the regular season, especially in the second half, he was really, really good, I thought. Um, I mean, if you start in August, I know it's a lot, going into the year. April, he didn't pitch. First start of the year, May 18th against the Phillies, and he gave up some runs there in May, in June, in July. He pitched a lot better. He did have that start against Colorado, 3 2/3, 5 runs, walked 6 guys. I remember that start. That was ugly. But the other starts in July, 1 earned run, no runs, 1 run. And after that Colorado start, he really dialed it in. Starting July 23rd, he went 5 straight starts, giving up 1 or no runs. Then there was the 2-run allowed start, 5 innings, 2 runs, August 19th against the Nationals. Gave up 6 runs against Cleveland, but then he bounced back, no runs, 1 run, 5 runs against the Dodgers, but then finished off the year tremendously. Gave up 2 runs in his final 4 starts of the year. 2 runs in his final 25 innings of the season. Struck out 32 guys in that span, a 0.72 ERA in those last 4 starts, heading into the postseason when it matters most. And he was throwing strikes, 60% strikes. Obviously, I think we're going to remember, or at least I am in the regular season, his start against the Cardinals. Albert Pujols was chasing for the home run record, and or not home run record, the 700 home run total, and he was at 698. And Snell was like, "No, that's not going to happen. I'm going to blow 99 or 98, whatever it was, past you." And that Cardinal start, he goes 7 innings, only 2 hits. He had that no-hitter deep. Pujols, I believe, got the first hit off of him, and then I think it was Juan Yepes, the batter after that. But yeah, 7 innings, no runs, walked 2 guys, struck out 13 batters there. Huge outing there. And then 1 run in his last 2 starts, and then obviously we talked about the postseason, hit on that. Him pitching at home is a lot better than pitching on the road. So in the postseason, if he's pitching at home, I'm confident in him, and so hopefully the Padres make the postseason next year. And I shouldn't even say if. I should say when, because that should definitely be the expectation for 2023 when they make the postseason. Hopefully those starts are at home. I just think he pitches better at home. He's more comfortable at home. Um, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to it. Just the numbers say that. But overall, I thought it was a tremendous year if you're looking at Snell and Musgrove and Darvish too. Just the top of that rotation, top 3 guys were pretty solid. Obviously, there were struggles in the first half from Snell. There was struggles a little bit for Musgrove, but not a whole lot. And Darvish, I mean, he was pretty much consistent the whole year. Um, every pitcher is going to struggle a little bit, but I thought the top three in the Padres rotation pitched pretty darn well, including Darvish, in the postseason, at the end of the regular season, when it mattered most. And so that's very encouraging for me, and I think very encouraging for a lot of Padres fans heading into 2023 and spring training. And especially when we don't know what's going to happen with the 4 and the 5 starters for the Padres, right? Um, maybe the Padres give Adrian Morejon a shot to be a 4 or a 5 starter, or they bring Nick Martinez back. Hopefully they do. I think Nick Martinez views himself as a starting pitcher, so he's probably going to decline that player option, go to free agency, try to get that starting pitcher money, and you know, hopefully the Padres bring him back. Same thing with Robert Suarez. I'll get into those guys because I'm going to do player reviews for everyone pretty much. Um, all the meaningful guys, all the guys that were on the postseason roster. Um, but yeah, I think it's huge that the top of the rotation's in good shape, at least heading into 2023, which is what I care about right now. And the bottom of the rotation, it'll be solved somehow. Maybe Clevenger, Manaea, one of them returns. Maybe Martinez returns, and you have your 5 there. They have Jake Groom in the minor leagues, but my point is, it's not that strong, right? The options aren't that strong. Nick Martinez might be a strong option, but he's not a guarantee to come back. So having those 3 guys that you can depend upon at the top of the rotation, I think that maybe I think it relieves some stress from AJ's job, right? There's definitely a lot of stress still getting a lot of positions figured out, but you don't have to figure out a whole rotation, right? It's the bottom of the rotation, which is huge still, as we saw in the NLCS when you have that gate best of 7. But it's huge in the regular season too. Throughout getting quality starts, eating innings for the bullpen. But at least they don't have to figure out the top, right? So that's encouraging. But yeah, that's it. This episode brought to you by Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. GaglioneBros.com is the website. They're located on Friars Road, inside Snapdragon Stadium and inside Petco Park. You obviously have to wait till next year for the Padres if you want Gaglione Bros inside Petco. But they're a great sponsor. I recommend you check them out. I appreciate you for tuning in here. Episode 262. I'm Ben Fadden, your host. Again, I thought great years from Musgrove and Snell for the most part. Very encouraging years, at least. I'll say that. And Musgrove's here for the next 5 years. Love it. So I'll be back with more season reviews. Until then, enjoy. I guess enjoy not having I don't know if you can enjoy not having Padres baseball, but enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing. And I'll be back soon. Thank you. See ya.